What's up guys, LeopoldTheBrave here. It's been a while, but Death Battle's coming back, so I'm coming back for a bit. On their Kickstarter, linked in the description below, they've already funded the ability to continue the show. In fact, they've funded an entire season, but you can help push it further. We are already getting Torian back for an episode, we're getting Ash vs Yugi, we're even getting another new live-action Death Battle. If we keep pushing further, Ruby from Ruby vs Maka from Soul Eater will become an official episode, and we'll get 2 more at 700,000. I've already done my part to help and you can do yours. Any amount will do. The small rewards grant you neat little personal presents like digital wallpapers and posters, and the big donation awards will allow you to get more involved with the show, like pitching your matchup directly to Ben and Chad. Again, the link is in the description, go check it out and help if you can. Since I've already done my part donating, I'm gonna help spread the word by making a video with my top picks in every Death Battle category. My favorite and most wanted episodes for 2D animation, 3D animation, live action, hand-drawn, or remakes, as well as my favorite and most wanted new fighter and returning fighter. With all of that said, let's begin. To kick things off, my favorite 2D animated Death Battle is Po from Kung Fu Panda vs Iron Fist from Marvel Comics. There's just so much character and charm in this one. In fact, it even starts off great, with Po and Iron Fist just wanting to spar and show off their strength rather than trying to end each other. The animation and voice acting is very fun and expressive, it uses tons of the characters' abilities, and there's plenty of cute little nods and references to the Kung Fu Panda movies. There is some criticism for the ending, Po acting out of character by how excited he is to have just destroyed someone. But I disagree. After defeating Tai Lung in Kung Fu Panda 1, the very first thing he did was run up the stairs to tell Shifu about it. He celebrated destroying Kai with a big group hug. He had a fireworks show and an entire city chanting after he destroyed Lord Shen. Po, despite his wholesomeness, is not a pacifist and isn't afraid to take anyone out. He'll cheer if he does it in an awesome way. But overall, this episode was great, and it makes me super excited for when we get more animated movie characters in Death Battle. As for my top pick for a new 2D animated Death Battle, I want Little Mac from Punch-Out versus Makunochi Ippo from Hajime no Ippo. To be honest, both of these characters actually have great 3D models to work with, but we already have TJ versus Balrog for a 3D boxing Death Battle. And not that I think it can't be topped, especially nowadays. There just are some things you can do with 2D sprites that you can't really do in 3D. For one, I always find the kicks, punches, and hand-to-hand combat attacks always hitting harder in 2D animations. With their sharp movements, the crunchy hit sound effects, and how shaky the camera gets, that kind of heavy impact would work really well, especially for these characters with Little Mac's Star Punch and how the fight scenes play out in Hajime no Ippo. These are also just two characters I really love, and I've looked into this matchup quite a bit, so I'd love to see Death Battle do it too. My favorite 3D animated Death Battle was honestly a very hard choice, but I eventually landed on Yoda vs King Mickey, just because of how much heart and soul it has. Kakashi vs Obi-Wan was a close second though. I don't know what it is with these Star Wars episodes. I'm not even the biggest Star Wars fan. They just always give me the most chills and suspense. The music was great, the voice acting was great, and plenty of character moments were great too, like Mickey's unbreakable optimism. Multiple moments even managed to give me chills. Any Death Battle that can do that is automatically going to end up as one of my favorites. I'm also a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, so even if Mickey lost, I still would have been happy with the episode just for having him. And my most wanted 3D Death Battle is The Medic vs Dr. Richtofen! Team Fortress 2 vs Call of Duty Zombies. I'd just love to see TF2 and COD on Death Battle in general. And it would be great timing too, as it seems the final TF2 comic is finally on the way. It'd also just be a super unique concept for an episode. I'm not too well versed in Call of Duty Zombies, so I don't know Richtofen's role too well, but as for the medic, having a character in a death battle whose primary focus is healing others would be quite interesting to see. I mean, after all, sometimes the hurting is more fun than the healing! Alright, let's take a break from the matchups for a bit and discuss a couple combatants. My favorite death battle combatant is Heihachi Mishima from Tekken. Heihachi Mishima is my all-time favorite video game villain, and his portrayal on Death Battle was fantastic. Or dare I say, excellent! From the way he starts off on a high horse, how he continues to gloat even harder after getting just a couple good hits in, just how tough he is with all those headbutts and how he picks up the boulder, and he's just a ridiculously silly old man. They just captured both his over-the-top awesomeness and his over-the-top goofiness as best as they possibly could. Other than wishing I got to hear his iconic laugh in the episode, I don't have any other notes for how he was portrayed. And as for my most wanted combatant on a death battle, how about the great Dr. Neocortex! Okay, enough with the voices. That bit's old. But yes, if Heihachi Mishima, my most favorite video game villain, is my most favorite combatant on the show, then obviously my most wanted is going to be my second most favorite video game villain. Thanks to recent Crash games, he has a great new model to work with and some new weapons in his arsenal. He's just a super funny little guy, and the slapsticky nature of the Crash Bandicoot series would allow for some seriously fun and expressive 3D animation. Considering just how well they did with Crash Bandicoot's animation previously on Death Battle, I can't wait to see what they do with Dr. Cortex nowadays. Now back to the fights. My favorite hand-drawn Death Battle is Scooby-Doo vs. Courage the Cowardly Dog. All the Death Battles for the past few seasons have just looked insanely high production, but this one takes it to a whole new level. It both looks and plays out like a real crossover more than any other Death Battle ever has. I didn't think it would ever be possible to top Snake vs. Sam Fisher in that area, but here we are. The voice acting, the character animation, how wide their arsenals are, it's all on point, and I'm glad we didn't have to see any dog death in the end. There are plenty of moments that are also just super hype, like Courage's giant scream to shatter Scooby. Yes, more Death Battle chills. I just always grin ear to ear the entire time whenever I watch this one. As for my most wanted hand-drawn Death Battle, Mordecai and Rigby from Regular Show versus Finn and Jake from Adventure Time takes that spot. And do I even need to say anymore? It's one of the most requested Death Battle matchups of all time at this point. And it's very fitting, the two pillars of Cartoon Network in the 2010s that saved everything. With how well Scooby vs. Courage was done, you just know Adventure Time and Regular Show with their antics is going to be even better. The fight would start off at a super small and simple scale and then escalate to cosmic extremes over the most mundane thing. Just in classic Regular Show fashion. Not to mention this matchup has 4 of my favorite characters of all time, so more ear-to-ear grinning is guaranteed. There's only 2 live-action Death Battles to choose from at the moment, but we're getting more, and my favorite is Red Hood vs. Winter Soldier. I love that this one took its time a lot more than Nightwing vs. Daredevil. The pacing was a bit slower, but in a good way. The build-up was nice, the tension was good. It didn't need quick action like the animated Death Battles, just super sweet cinematic action and choreography. The costumes and the set design for this one were also much better in my opinion. And it's not their fault at all, but my poor little albino eyeballs just can't handle that red filter over the end of Nightwing vs. Daredevil very well, so I'm glad that none of that was here. I know next to nothing about each character too, so the fact that I was so engaged is very impressive. It was also over 3 years ago, so the fact that we're gonna get another live-action Death Battle makes me super excited to see how far Aizmahawk has come. And I'm hoping that that next live-action Death Battle is Rick Grimes vs. Joel Miller, The Walking Dead vs. The Last of Us. Not only is that my most wanted live-action Death Battle, but it's my most wanted Death Battle in general. The set would be super unique, likely taking place outdoors while the other 2 live-action Death Battles were indoors. These characters aren't advanced masters in martial arts, so it'd be fun to see the improvised brawling. It'll be cool to see a more fleshed out version of the gunfight we got at the beginning of Red Hood vs. Winter Soldier. And these characters are both very human, so it'll be neat to see them play more carefully with how many hits or damage these characters can take. Not to mention there's some potential for an awesome brief team-up moment if Walkers and Infected interrupt their battle. Again, it's my #1 most wanted Death Battle ever, so fingers crossed. Let's take another combatant break. My favorite returning combatant to Death Battle is Ganondorf. While Bowser vs. Ganondorf did a great job showing off all of Ganondorf's different abilities and his cockiness, it was Ganondorf vs. Dracula that truly showed off his raw power and true terror as one of gaming's greatest villains. Even though he lost here, he's still just ridiculously cool. He still gets to show off plenty of his awesome abilities, his transformation is cooler than it ever looked, and the voice acting for him was just chef's kiss. Not to say Matt Mercer didn't do a great job in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but William Sopp's Ganondorf here in Death Battle just fits a lot better in my opinion. I really hope he comes back as a voice actor in Death Battle in the future because I can't wait to see what else he could do. As for my most wanted returning combatant, I want Jak to come back. No, not Jak and Daxter, just Jak. Now don't get me wrong, Daxter isn't nearly as useless as he's portrayed in the Death Battle. In fact, he has tons of his own unique cool stuff. It's just that when he's with Jak, he doesn't really add too much to the battle considering how insane Jak's own arsenal is, making the 2v2 that Jak gets locked into feel more like a 2v1. I love you, Orange Lightning, but I'm sorry, Jak just has much better 1v1 matches, and I'd love to see one of those someday. Not to mention, Ratchet & Clank vs. Jak and Daxter was one of the most fun and visually appealing death battles for the longest time. And it honestly still is, despite being over 8 years old. I can't wait to see what they do nowadays. And the final category, my favorite Death Battle remake, and you know what it is, Goku vs. Superman. It really couldn't be anything else. The analysis was fantastic, the animation was just on a whole nother level, and the results were very clear, concise, and easy to understand. I'm sure even the saltiest fanboys got it through their heads whether they wanted to or not. Though the tradition of bringing back Masako and some random guy as Goku and Superman was broken, the new voice actors for both did an outstanding job. Despite the groans many may have left out at the episode's announcement, the final production with its amazing analysis, animation, voice acting, music, and everything else proves it'll never get old. Not only is this remake such an improvement over the original, but it's such an excellent way to showcase just how far Death Battle has come. I may have had my salty and butthurt moments with Death Battle way in the past, but even then I loved it, and I still do now, even more. And I have nothing but admiration and respect for everyone who works on it. From the team members I'm close friends with to the team members I've never even spoken a word to, I love them all. I'm more than happy to help save Death Battle. This video could end right here honestly, but nope, I gotta round things out and share my top pick for a most wanted remake. Of course it's Ryu from Street Fighter vs. Jin from Tekken. Even though my preferred character lost, it's still one of my all-time favorite death battles. The animation and choreography and effects and everything are just insane, and I'd love to see how they improved nowadays. Not to mention the analysis and result would be fresh too with Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8. I had my own personal reasons and research for believing Jin would win, but Tekken 8 just confirms it even further, even with how Death Battle does their own rules and research. It would be a high-action and visually stunning remake that brings tons of new stuff to the table, and it's my most wanted. But let me know what you guys think. What's your favorite and most wanted death battles in each of these categories? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to check out that Kickstarter and help save Death Battle. Leopold the Brave, out.